She's a diamond. She's a diamond girl. She's a diamond. Diamond, diamond, diamond.
Hi YouTube, it's Princess Diamond. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing some mermaid braids and giving you guys all of the details. The hair that I'll be using is from YGWigs, and I did receive a couple gifts from them along with the hair. So I got some lashes, this parting tool which helps with stitching if you don't have nails, an edge brush, comb, and these clips, which actually comes in really handy. I like these clips, so I appreciate that. And then the hair that I'm using is their double drawn loose wave human hair. I did get 3 bundles or 3 packs, and each one is 20 inches. And like I said, this is their double drawn. They have single drawn, double drawn, and super double drawn. Basically, it has to do with the fullness of the hair from root to end. So with single drawn, you're going to have about 25% strands of the hair be full length, and the rest 75 be shorter length. So the hair tapers more at the end, and so it gives more of a natural, it's more similar to like natural hair. And then double drawn is about 50-50, so 50% of the hair full length, 50% is shorter, so less taper, more fullness, which is what I have. And then you're gonna have super double drawn, which is 80-20. 80% are going to be full length, and then the rest 20% are going to be shorter in length. So this is going to be the max thickness and fullness from root to end. I know not everybody is aware of that, so I just wanted to explain in case there's any confusion on what double drawn is. I'm going to do a dip test. Now this time I'm actually using boiling hot water. So I did let the teapot turn on and heat up the water prior to dipping this test strand in the water. And as you can see, it's still curly. Now this is a looser wave already, so keep that in mind. The curl is already looser in general, but yeah, you can still see the curls there. I'm scrunching it up, so that'll help with the curls. And then this is the before, or the dry strand, and then the wet strand. So it's good to do a dip test just to see which you would prefer, or to see if the curl will actually hold up in hot water or in water in general. I like to have a parting guide. So to start out, I parted her hair at the top from ear to ear, and then at the back from ear to ear going across. And then at that front top section, she does have a middle part going down the center. In the back section that I parted, I did 3 rows going straight across, and I will go through each row and tell you guys how many pieces of the curling hair I put on the braid in that row. So I'm going to go through each row at a time, so just make sure to keep on watching. I start out with doing regular knotless braids. My knotless braids, typically I add in 5 strands or 5 pieces of braiding hair, and then I go into adding in the curly hair. Now for my client, her ends are very blunt cut. So with that being said, it pretty much makes the braid taper off or thin off too quickly. So to help with that, usually I would just add in another piece of braiding hair to keep the thickness of the braid. But to avoid adding too much length to this, so it's not too long, you see right there where her natural hair ends, I'm going to add in a piece of the curly hair. So here's one way to add in the curly hair. I'm adding it in at the back of the braid and just matching up that middle section and the other end, and then just braiding it down as normal. So that just helps with keeping the thickness of that braid the same, just right there after it passes her natural hair. And then I'll just leave out that curly piece when I'm ready to leave it out, because I did not want to leave it out too high up on that braid for the first 2 rows, because usually if I add it in like this way, where I'm adding it in again at the back, matching up the middle strand, usually I'll just leave out that long piece of the curly hair and just continue with braiding. But the only reason I kind of just braided it all the way through again was just to add a little bit of the thickness to the braid as I was passing her natural hair. I hope that makes sense, but I just showed you guys 2 different ways that you can add in the curly hair. So for this first and second row that I'm doing, so you see the first row and the second row going straight across, each of these braids have 3 pieces of the human curly hair being added to each braid, as well as one piece being added to the very end of the braid. So this is the final piece that I'm now adding to this braid, and this piece is just going to be at the end to give it a curly end. So total, this braid has 4 pieces of human curly hair. And then to seal these, once I get to the end of the braiding hair, I take a small piece of the human hair and I wrap it around to create a knot on the braid at least 3 or 4 times. I'm just showing you guys how I'm creating that knot right there. So that'll secure that braid from unraveling. And then you can clip away the blunt ends, and then you can see for these first 2 rows, so all of these braids I've done so far, they have 3 pieces of curly hair on the braid and 1 piece at the end, so 4 pieces total. Also, I wanted to show you guys that I started adding in the pieces lower down the braid, so not far up, not close to her root. We're gonna build on the fullness of these curls or these braids. So now we're moving up. This is the 3rd row, and I have 4 pieces of curly hair on the braid and 1 piece at the very end, making it 5 pieces total on the 3rd row. And then I'm also showing you with the 3rd row, I kind of started with the curly hair a little higher up than the first 2 rows. And then now this is the 4th row, and for the 4th row I also have 4 pieces of the curly hair on the braid, 1 piece at the end, so again 5 pieces total. But again with the 4th row I kind of went up a little higher with adding in that first curly hair piece, because we are going to build on these curls to make it nice and full all the way through. So now we're on the 5th row. As you can see, the curls are building up. And for the 5th row, I added 5 pieces of the human curly hair on the braid and 1 piece at the end, making it 6 pieces total on that braid for that row. This is what it's looking like so far. And then this is row number 6. For row number 6, I also did 5 pieces of the braiding or the human curly hair on the braid, 1 piece at the end, making it 6 total as well. And then for row number 7, I added 6 pieces of the human curly hair on the braid, 1 piece at the end, making it 7 pieces of the curly hair total that's being added to each braid on this 7th row. And you guys can see now my pieces are being added more closer to the root than further down the braid, because we're going up. We're at the top of the braid and we just want to add in more of the curls at the top so that way it balances. Because remember, when we started at the back section, we were adding the curls closer to the bottom of the braid. Now we want to add it more closer to the top, so it just evens it out. So this is row number 8, and for row number 8 I added in 6 pieces of the human curly hair on the braid and then 1 piece at the end, making it 7 pieces total for this row. And for this row, I'm adding that first piece of the human curly hair right there at the root, because again, we're at the top, so we want the curls to be much higher just to balance it out. Now I'm telling you guys the number of curls being added to each row, but of course you don't have to do this exactly. This can just be used as a guide. The whole point is to build on the amount of curly pieces that's being added to the braid as you go higher up each row, and then also move those curly pieces more closer to the root just to balance out the curls and make it more fuller from root to end is really the whole purpose. But I wanted to give you guys the exact numbers, so just to use as a guide or just to use exactly as you see it. So here's the 8th and last row, and again I added 6 pieces on the braid and 1 piece at the end, making it 7 pieces total on that last row. So this is what it's looking like, and I have not added any product, so no mousse, no steamer, no water, nothing to the hair. I think the only thing I did was oil her scalp at this point, and this is what the curls are looking like. I personally love the curls in the natural state. It gave very bouncy, very full, so pretty, so cute. I opted not to dip the hair in hot water, but just to give the braids more flexibility, I did steam these. So now I'm going in. As you can see, the white stuff on her hair, that's mousse that I've already added all throughout the braids and the curls. And now I'm just steaming it, and this is just to kind of loosen up those braids. Not so much to do anything with the curls because, like I said, I love the curls as it was in its natural state. And even with the steamer, I don't think that it changed the curls too much. You can tell that the hair is wet. It will dry, and I think it'll just, revert back to what it originally looked like, or at least very close to it. You guys will see here in a second that the curls were still nice and full, still very bouncy. So the steamer didn't really do too much to the curls as far as like changing the texture. So I like that, but I just wanted the braids just to be a little bit more bendable, movable, This is the final result. So like I said, you can see that these curls are still nice and bouncy, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is pretty much it. I'll style it, show you guys all the different angles. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, if you liked it, I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, helps the channel out, so I can continue putting stuff like this out for you guys. So I'd appreciate that. The link and details to this hair will be down in the description. So if you're interested, definitely go check out YGWigs and check out their double drawn loose wave human hair if you're wanting to achieve this mermaid braids hairstyle. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this video was helpful in some way. That is always my goal when I put out videos like this. So in case you missed it, we did go over the parting rows, how many curls is being added on each row, and how far up to put the curls, how to add in the curls. And if there's anything else that you guys have questions on, please leave it down in the comments below, and I'll try to get a video out for that. Don't forget that I do have a more in-depth tutorial for parting. So if you're wanting to get more information on exactly how to part, to help you with the parting, then check out the description because that video will be linked down below. But talk to you guys in my next one. I hope you guys be blessed, stay protected, and stay filled with love and peace. Bye guys.